Tonight I'm speaking with Kenny Metcalf, who is, of course, Elton John tribute singer. And Kenny, the first time I interviewed you was this past May. We were talking about how you got into paying tribute to Elton John. And tonight what we're talking about is you recently appeared on Access TV for the second time, but this time the project was called Elton to Billy Joel. And I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about how that project got started. Was that something that Access TV put you and the other guy together? How did this all come about?
Well, originally, I've done a couple shows with Michael John. He's out of Las Vegas. He does Billy Joel. And so I had pitched Michael John to Katie Darrell of Access TV, just as a Billy Joel to look at him. She was looking for somebody different for her next season.
Yeah.
Which is season 4. And so I had pitched him during season 3, and so she took a look at him, she liked him, she called him up, and then she, in talking with him, the two of them started talking, and I actually, I introduced them at the end of season 3 together, where she actually met him at one of the shows. And so anyways, we were sitting there, we were just kidding, we said, hey, you could always do an Elton John and Billy Joel tribute, and we just laughed it off. But she approached Michael on that when she had called him and said, how about doing a Billy Joel to Elton John show?
Wow.
So he was like, I think that'd be great. And so I got a phone call from Katie Darrell, and she asked me if I wanted to do the show.
Wow.
And,
yeah.
So she said it would be a 60% Billy Joel, 40% Elton John show.
Wow.
But she would give us a 90-minute special.
Wow.
So I said, sure, let's do it. And she gave him a 60% because he had not been on the TV show before, and I had.
Yeah.
So we went after it from that aspect and was like, sure, let's do this.
Yeah, it makes total sense, that they would do it that way, like you said, since you'd already appeared on the show. And I got to say, one thing I really loved about watching your guys' performance that night was, people got misconceptions. You've probably been hearing as long as I have that keyboards don't belong in rock music and stuff. And I think you just proved that. You guys disproved that myth that night. I mean, the whole dueling keyboard thing, or piano, whatever you want to call it, I think was just the coolest thing you guys came up with.
Oh, thanks. And you know what? That was really, actually a fun show. The real challenge was, in doing that, was he wanted to have his band on stage.
Yeah.
He'd been playing with them for the last 12 years. And I, of course, wanted my band. And so it wasn't an argumentative thing.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, how can we get 14 people on stage, on that small stage at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and 2 baby grand pianos. So that was the challenge. And originally we wanted to have 2 drum sets up there, but there was no way it was going to fit.
Yeah.
So logistically, the drummers literally had to work together. Like, we opened the show with Benny and the Jet.
Yeah.
And as we got to the very end of it, where we're going, Benny and the Jet, and it's just kind of, the cymbals are being written now,
Yeah.
Well, my drummer stood up and he started moving from right to left on the cymbals, and as he did that, the other drummer came in from the beginning of the left side, moving right and center, and he sat down as my drummer stepped out of the way, and he actually finished Benny and the Jet and went directly counting in to the next song, which was a Billy Joel song. And so every time it was an Elton John song, my drummer would move in, and his drummer would move out. And watching it on TV, it's really awesome. It's like, look at these guys, man, because they were just as if 2 guys were playing one drum set, the same song, and they pulled it off flawlessly. So that was fun. We brought a percussionist in, we brought a keyboardist, sax player, 3 background singers, and 2 electric guitar players, and 2 bass guitar players on stage, besides those 2 piano shells.
And let me ask you, being that he's in Las Vegas and you're out here in LA, how much time did you guys have to rehearse for this? Because, like you said, in looking at the live performance that night, the show off came off pretty flawless.
Well, you kind of trust each other on what and everybody knows what they're supposed to learn.
Uh-huh.
and then went out and saw the town together, and got on the road and came back to LA. And so then everybody basically knew what they needed to do, and then we literally got together the night before the show and had another 3-hour rehearsal just to kind of run through things at a rehearsal studio. And the next day it was live, so we had 2 rehearsals.
And let me ask you, because the other amazing thing in watching the performance you guys did was, initially, typically, I don't know how much people would think Billy Joel and Elton John would go together, but and you guys performing the songs together and everything, it really seemed to be a flawless performance, and everything, just gelled. I mean, the material all worked together. I was really impressed with that.
Oh, thank you. It was, it's just knowing what parts I had to sing and what parts he had to sing, and just making sure that we were all there doing it. Knowing that I had to sing a certain part, and then we joined in together. It's fun. It came off well when you're playing with a group of professionals. It's really easy to, get together and actually throw a show together. But we figured out what we wanted to do. We had phone conversations together and emails and stuff, and outlining what we wanted to do. And then the last minute was just doing a dry run through of the show the day of it for the camera work. And so we weren't actually playing every song, but we would maybe start a song and play it for 30 seconds, and then transition or play a full song, come out of that song, and go into the ending of that set. That was going to be 3 commercial breaks or 2 commercial breaks. So coming out of that set, last 30 seconds of a song, and then Katie comes on stage and says, "Well, yeah, thank you, and we'll be back," and then immediately when she comes back, knowing that our cue was to start, as soon as she said, "Welcome back to the stage, Billy Joel to Elton John," and boom, right into the next song.
Yeah.
And so it was fun, and I had 3 costume changes, so that was really fun for me.
Yeah, and I think the amazing thing about it too is 90 minutes I think was a perfect a perfect set, because you guys got you got all the Billy Joel hits that all the stuff people expect to hear, and all the Elton John stuff. So you guys were you did not leave audience wanting more, and I think that's a cool thing that you guys got the 90-minute special.
Oh, it was fun, and for me, it was pretty easy going for me, because my band had to stay on stage and play every song.
Yeah.
I didn't, so it was really fun for me, that standpoint. But I had to do the costume changes, and each costume that I did was an album cover.
Yeah,
actually.
wow.
Costume.
And I was going to ask you now. Obviously, you got the Elton John stuff down because you've been doing that for years. But how much did you have to rehearse the Billy Joel stuff? I mean, did you experience playing any of that before, or was that all new to you?
Well, just learned at the times that I've played with him in the past. 3 times over the last 2 years that we had done shows, and most of those shows we just got hired and flew together. In fact, the very first show I ever did with Michael, I literally was on the phone with him, told me what songs that they knew of Elton's, and here's the songs that they normally would do in a show, and so I picked between those. We threw the songs together, and he said, "Okay, these are where I would normally sing, here's where you sing," because he's been doing Billy Joel to Elton with another guy he has. His show's called the Face to Face show.
Wow.
So anyways, Billy Joel with a number 2, John, is my show. And so we just we worked out the parts, and literally we met on a plane on the way to El Paso for the very first show we did 2 years ago for Valentine's Day in El Paso at a casino out there, and it went off like we've been playing together forever, and we never even had a rehearsal. His band knew what they needed to do, and I knew what I needed to do, and that was it. And so this was really actually the first time I've ever rehearsed with him after all these 3 times I've played with him,
Yeah, immediately, after seeing you guys perform that night on the TV show, I immediately thought, it'd be, how cool would it be, although you guys said you've done some shows before, to go on some kind of major, tour where you guys, hit all the, big cities. Is that something you guys have talked about?
Oh, well, that's why one of the reasons why we're doing this anyways is, when Katie gave us that offer, it was like, yeah, because we've been wanting to do more shows to work together because, the more options you have to play, the more you're working. And so, our Elton tribute, just from being on the world's greatest tribute band that's done it nationally, since the last time we spoke, my summer was, our shows doubled from last year, and majority of them were out of the state. Flying all over the place and having everything backlined, which was just absolutely awesome. And we did some big shows locally. The Orange County Fair was a huge success for us this year. Playing in the hangar, and there was about 8,000 people that could visibly watch us during that thing because they have giant monitors outside of the hangar, as well as the giant screen inside that's 20 foot by 40. 20 high, 40 feet wide with live camera work and stuff. And for that show, we brought in Caleb Quay, Elton John's original guitarist, who appeared with us on our very first TV show on Access TV. He came in to close the show. Well, we brought him in to close this show, but we had him on stage for 30 minutes. And the audience went crazy over it. So, but anyways, we being on that TV show, the world's greatest tribute band, that really actually launched us nationally. To get a second time on that show, that gave me even more credibility. It's now given Michael accolades for all his hard work that he's been doing through the years, and now a new opportunity to launch another venue, or I'm sorry, not venue, another act. That's
And the cool thing about the cool thing about it too, like you said, I mean, you have a lot going for yourself, in the fact that like last time we talked, we were saying, you're probably like the premier Elton John tribute out here. There's a few others, but like when I get on Facebook, you're the main one that comes up in that right now. And then and then the fact, like you said, that now you have this Elton to Billy Joel thing. Like you said, a lot of times tribute bands, they need to have like a little niche. And the fact that there are not too many Elton John tributes, and the fact that you got this other Elton and Billy Joel tribute going, that's one more thing to give your audience when they come to see the show. And so I think that's the cool thing about what you're doing. You're keeping it one step ahead of all the other tributes out there.
Oh yeah, and we actually received an email 2 days after our TV show from Vegas Rocks magazine.
Wow.
And they have the Vegas Rocks magazine music awards in November 23rd, and they nominated us for Best Tribute for Las Vegas. And they could do that because Michael John's been playing out of Vegas for years.
Yeah. See, that's one more market for you. Yeah.
So, anyway, so we got nominated for that, and anybody listening to this, if you'd like to vote for us, we'd appreciate it. All you have to do is if you don't mind, I'll plug this.
Yeah, go ahead. Please do. That's what this is all about. Yeah.
VOTE, vote at vegasrocks.com. That's the email.
Yeah.
Vote at vegasrocks.com. And then all they do is put in the subject line, Billy Joel, the number 2, Elton John. That's it. And press send and send it. That's it. Because they never open the email. It just goes in an automatic folder and it counts. And the tribute band with the most votes wins. So I appreciate anybody out there to do that for us. We definitely appreciate it. Voting ends November 15th.
Yeah, and once again, another cool thing that Katie Darrell did when you guys were performing on the show this last time was she made a little announcement to people that don't know that used to the fact that you used to be the keyboard player for Striper. I was curious if you've kept in touch with those guys over the years, if they've ever come to see you do your Elton John show, or and what they thought of it.
Well, you know what? Tim Gaines, the bass player of Striper, he Facebooked me the next day and said he loved the show. Was proud of my girls, who were the background singers.
Oh, okay.
2 of them were my daughters, the 2 smallest ones, Desi and Shar. And the third one, Steph, is my sister-in-law, which is so funny because she ended up marrying my brother-in-law, who was a roadie at the time. were my background singers for his show. So, anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so Striper. Anyway, so back to Striper. Yeah. So they follow me, and in fact, November 7th and November 8th, I'm going to be doing a show up in Northern California on the 7th in Pleasanton. I think it's called Pleasanton, California, and then the 8th I'm playing in Oregon, Central Coast of Oregon, at Three Rivers Casino there. But the bass player for Striper is going to fill in for my bass player for those two shows. He grew up playing to Dee Murray, Elton's bass player, and he was actually friends with Dee before Dee passed away. So he's been emailing me and saying, "Hey man, if you ever need a bass player," so he's flying out from Nashville in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and he's gonna play 2 shows with us. I can't wait.
Yeah, and then I want to ask you also, Kenny, because you've done some shows where you sit in with our mutual friend, I think Mick Adams and the Stones. Is that correct? And what's it like to play with them? And I was curious, how did you first hook up with those guys?
Well, I met Mick Adams. Actually, officially met him and became friends through the World's Greatest Tribute Band on Access TV.
Well, that would make sense.
So,
Yeah.
I knew who he was, but we really became good friends through that, as well as Hollywood U2 and their Bono, which is Joe Hire. So the three of us became really, really close friends, and so we've kind of all guest appeared in each other's shows from time to time. In fact, when we played at the Orange County Fair this summer with Caleb Quaid, Mick Adams came on stage with his guitarist Larry Hampton, who is Keith Richards in his band.
Yeah.
And he's in the Who tribute, the Who review, as their guitarist as Peter Townsend. And he actually is going to be my guitar player for that show with Striper when the bass player for Striper comes out. Because my entire band can't make that event, those 2 shows.
Wow.
And so the drummer for the Who review, Raleigh is going to be playing drums, and then Larry is going to be on guitar and Tim King's on bass.
Yeah.
It's going to really actually be fun.
Yeah, and I got to talk to you now a little bit about. You brought up the name Larry Hampton. He's another guy I've had the privilege of interviewing, and the cool thing about Larry, I really suggest people go on his Facebook just to look at his photos, because the cool thing is, like you said, he plays in these 2 tribute bands. One he plays the role of Pete Townsend, obviously, in the Who review, and then he does Keith Richards and Mick Adams and the Stones. And you cannot have 2 more polar opposite guitar players than Pete Townsend and Keith Richards, and he looks the part, and then he plays the respective roles in those bands. I mean, it's amazing. He can look like Pete Townsend or Keith Richards. I was like, this guy's really got it down,
Oh, he's going to look like Davy Johnston.
Yeah.
When he plays with me. He's got the same build, the same look, and we're going to put a blonde wig on him and little thin glasses. He's going to look like Davy.
Yeah.
But the guy is totally versatile, able to play anything. I met him when he was 27 years old. I saw him playing in church, of all places, years ago. And I had been off the road with Striper for probably, I don't remember how many years, but it's been a while. And I walked in and I saw him playing, and I was blown away. He was just so smooth and fluid when he played, and versatile. And now, he's out here and he rips it up. I gave him 20 songs to learn in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're not easy, and he's got them down already, So that's, quite a guitar player. I'm looking forward to the shows with him.
Yeah, it's so I was curious too. I'm getting back to the Elton to Billy Joel project we were talking about earlier. Now, does it get hard, like as far as you deciding, hey, let's do a Billy Joel and Elton John performance, or let's do a solo performance, or does it just depends on, if an offer comes up?
Oh yeah, it just depends if an offer comes up. That's all.
Okay.
The show is there; it's available. When we do the show, Billy Joel to Elton John actually belongs to Elton the Early Years LLC.
Okay.
So that name, that brand, course.
Okay.
But the show title, it's all run through Elton the Early Years LLC, and our show, Kenny Metcalf as Elton and the Early Years Band, that's run through Elton the Early Years LLC. So Elton the Early Years owns that. The band originally was called Elton the Early Years, and then when we legally went out and got a full-on corporation, the corporation became Elton the Early Years, and the band that left it open to name the shows whatever we wanted to name the shows.
And so let me ask you now, when it came to that point for you to kind of get your own company going, your own corporation, was that just a matter of because you'd reached a point where money was really starting to come in and you wanted to kind of take charge of your own career?
Well, I don't actually own the business, though. Charlene Griffith owns Elton the Early Years.
Oh, okay.
She's my daughter. It's her company, and she's the manager, and she handles it all. But the whole vision when Charlene took over everything was to make this a flourishing company, to actually manage more than one kind of an act. More than one kind of. We've got other artists that we're bringing in right now that we're starting to work with. In fact, we're putting together a Cat Stevens tribute.
Oh, cool, wow.
And the guy that does Cat Stevens is really amazing. In fact, the drummer for that will be Raleigh DeVore, and the guitar player will be Larry Hampton.
Oh,
so
cool.
the guys, he keeps them busy as well.
And let me ask you, as far as the that's a cool thing that you're doing, bringing other acts into this. How do you go about finding the talent? Is it just through people you know, or do they come to you?
Well, we've had some people come to us, and because we've had it, we definitely, it doesn't just come to you. You got to really work for this.
Yeah.
You really got to work hard at it. You got to work hard at your craft. So anybody out there wants to be a tribute, just keep that in mind. It's not a garage band thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't come off like a garage band. You got to handle it like a business. You have to have somebody that's going to manage a business and run it like a business. My daughter's very, very intelligent, very smart, and savvy with business. She's handled all kinds of. Every year she's handled for Silver Lake Conservatory, which is owned by Flea of the Chili Peppers.
Oh, okay.
She's put them together for him.
Wow.
For the last 5 years, and last year when she put it together, it was $1 million event. They had Neil Young and all kinds of different people there. And Neil Young was one of the talents that played, and the Chili Peppers backed him up, kind of thing. But my daughter, she did a wedding for high event wedding for Linda Edelstein, actress on the TV show House.
Wow.
And she just did something recently that had Stevie Nicks there, and they had Olsen twins, and so Char's a real smart business person. So I'm at that age. I don't want to do business anymore, and I don't. So I just play music.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was
just bring people in.
I was going to ask you about that. So your daughter handles a lot of the business, but now, like for example, with this Cat Stevens acts, you guys are kind of bringing into your company. Will you you ever give any advice to these new acts coming up? Like, hey, I've been doing this for X amount of years. Let me give you guys some advice, or do you prefer to just let them do their own thing?
No, you know what? My advice is find the bands that are the top notch, the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Study them and see what they do that makes them successful, and then go after that. And that's how you're going to get somebody, a major agent or a promoter to pick you up, that's out there looking for those talent. My daughter, Char's her company, she's looking for talent to represent, but they've got to have their show together, they've got to have their act polished, and those that don't, she's willing to work with them, if there's potential and there's real serious, if they're serious about what they do. But the Cat Stevens one, that was kind of one of my little brainchild, because I knew the guy ever since I've been in high school. He sounded like Cat Stevens.
Wow.
Can play Cat and do it, and there's no Cat Stevens guys out there, but there was a demand for it.
Yeah.
So, so we just decided to, let's go after this. So I contacted some of the best that are already doing tribute
yeah.
the hours that it takes to do them. And I just finished a pair of platform shoes that are completely solid rhinestone, but the platform part of them are all piano keys.
Yeah, I seen that. You just posted that on your Facebook page. Yeah, totally cool. And so like those costumes now, are those things that you like buy at, you know, expensive stores, or are they custom made?
Well, you have them custom made.
Yeah.
In everything that you go after, you have them custom made as much as you can. But I mean, I've got that ability to, arts and crafts, man. I was good at it as a kid. And grew up in the sign business with my dad having a sign company. And so, really good at with working with my hands. And so the pair of shoes that I just finished, in fact, you can look them up on Facebook. I posted it today, but I've got over 40 hours total.
Wow.
In two pairs of shoes, in two shoes, for the detail and all the rhinestones inlaid. But they're so over the top, Elton John, that anybody that's coming after me,
Yeah.
it's gonna cost them a lot of time and a lot of money. I mean, one pair of those shoes I would sell for $1,000.
Wow.
40 hours worth of time to make them. That's a lot of detail.
And you're still obviously performing as Elton John, but have you ever sold any of your old costumes or anything, as you update your wardrobe?
I just started releasing some stuff out there. People wanted to buy it. Had one kid that was interested from England, but who's doing Elton over there, but too much out of his price range on some of the shoes that I had. But I've got so much stuff right now. Might as well get rid of some of it. I'm not wearing it.
Yeah. And and the interesting thing, like you were saying, Kenny, is a lot of these tribute bands, it's like anything. The cream rises to the top, so to speak, and obviously one reason you've been so successful, like you said, is you pay attention to every detail down to the costume, how his hair is, how glasses, the type of how you perform, and a lot of people don't take the time to and the attention for all that detail.
Well, in the Access TV show, I came out in the Caribou outfit, which was the album cover of Caribou record. So tiger jacket, the black pants have the red stripe, the shoes with the sparkles the way that they are in the shoes, down to the glasses. I went after every detail. The hardest part of that was the glasses, but I recreated that outfit. So then the second costume change on the Access TV show, the Billy Joel 2 album, I came out in the greatest hits. It was 1973 greatest hits Elton John album.
Yeah.
And Elton's wearing a white outfit, white suit, down to the brooch on it. I had the brooch remade because there was no way to get that brooch. And I literally researched it, took pictures of it, and I had somebody that's really good at, with their hands at making, and they recreated it down to the T. And then I had that. I found the fedora. I had to make the cane. I had to literally overlay the platform shoes that came in a patent leather white. I literally had to spray them with a silver paint.
Yeah.
And they were only going to be good for the TV show, only for one time, because you can't spray patent leather. It'll crack.
Yeah.
And so it was good for the TV show. After that, I completely, solidly rhinestoned the top portion of the shoe. But for the bottom of it, you can't get wooden platform shoes anymore. They're really, really difficult to find. And if you do, there's probably some other size that's not the size I need, because they're vintage. So I literally had to make them look vintage, and I had to overlay the platform shoes with veneer.
Wow.
And so I had to cut and inlay, and then glue them in place, and then sand them, and stain them, and then gloss coat them. So that outfit, down to the cane, I had to make the cane to reproduce it. And the last part that was the hardest was the glasses, to find a pair of glasses that were as close to his as possible. And I spent over 2 months of searching
Wow.
And I'm not talking about just a 2-month period. I mean, literally 2 months worth of going into LA, going into, glass shops, all kinds of stuff, trying to find frames that were the closest to his from that time. And then after I found them, I literally had to take them down to have prescription glasses put in them because I need prescription lenses. But I had to have them dyed and tinted to look just like that on TV. So when you saw that out there when I walked out, that was the closest to reproduction. I mean, down to having the costume made, having the pants custom made, and there was over $1,000 invested in just that one costume for a total of 3 songs on that show, and then I walked off stage again, 3 or 4 songs during that segment of the show, and I came back out in the Captain Fantastic outfit, which again, it's still one of a kind because I've never seen an Elton tribute that's gone to the extent that I went of recreating that outfit. I made 2 different pairs of glasses that matched the entire look. The hat, cape, the brooch, every little detail. And that's what separates,
a pro from an amateur. Yeah. And let me and let me ask you, like those costume changes during the, because that people may fail to realize that's a live TV performance. So did it take you very long to, change, make those costume changes, or were you kind of prepared to do that?
Well, out of the first costume into the next, I had a total of, I think, about 6 minutes.
Wow.
Like 6 minutes, which wasn't bad because the very first Access TV show I did, I literally had 3 minutes, and I stripped on stage. I never even ran on stage because they closed the curtains. So I literally just stood there and had people tearing my clothes off and put me back into, new costume and stuff for that show. But for this show, I had like 6 to 7 minutes for the first costume change. So I literally run upstairs, get up there, get out of it. And I had somebody upstairs helping me get out of my wet clothes because they were soaked by that, and get into the next costume. Get down on stage as they're finishing. We Didn't Start the Fire, which was a Billy Joel song.
Yeah.
And when they finished that, he introduced me. He walked off stage, but he didn't change. He just because Billy Joel's always doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I did my solo stuff there with Kiki D, and we did Don't Go Breaking My Heart and I'm Still Standing. And then he came back on and we did River of Dreams, a few other songs. And then I ran off after the commercial break, I think it was, or somewhere during that. And I literally came back on stage for the last commercial break, and I was dressed as Captain Fantastic. So when the cameras came back on, I was a living album cover. I mean, that's down to the boots that go around it and everything. The spats.
And let me ask you, because again, this was a live TV performance, and I've been to some of the tapings down there when they used to do it at the Roxy, and it's just amazing. I mean, I imagine when you're up there, it kind of seems like it's really just kind of going as you speak. But did it seem like the show was over as fast as you started? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it is. It really is. And even for me, the last costume change, I almost didn't make it back on stage because when I took my IEMs, my inner monitors out, something happened. They got tied in a knot.
Oh wow!
So I literally, when I went back on stage, I didn't have my monitors, and I had a floor wedge. But the guy, when he turned it on, the sound guy, he cranked it. It was so loud, I couldn't hear because it was blasting me out. And so when I came out in the Captain Fantastic for that first song, that was really rough to do that. And but I barely made it on stage in time because I could hear Katie saying, "Please welcome back to the stage." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm running down the stairs in this big clunky outfit, and I got back on just in time. And then by the time that first song finished, we were going into Piano Man, which gave me a few seconds extra. They had already untied my in-ears, my headphones. They got all tangled up, and so they had handed them back up to me, and I was putting them back in. So as he's starting Piano Man, but I was ready to go by the first verse because I had to sing it.
Yeah, wow.
Like you roll with it.
And let me ask you, from the first performance time you performed on Access TV's World's Greatest Tribute TV show, I was curious, are you surprised at what a big thing that show has become?
No, I think it's exciting, actually. actually, because it is something that's really awesome, and it does showcase a whole new part of entertainment that's out there, and so
it really showcases the great tribute bands out there. I mean, a lot of why I started talking to guys like you is a lot of people have misconceptions that guys that play in tribute bands or whatever you want to call this. Or that they're people making a living off other people's music. They're failed musicians, and that's really not the case. I mean, I dare anybody to go look on your Facebook page, like we've been talking. I mean, you're one guy in particular that just look at the wardrobe and all the all the attention to detail and everything, all the time all your homework you've done. Like I think you told me the last time before you even performed the first time as Elton John that you'd spend like a year or something just doing all your homework before you even performed your first show.
That's right. For all those that are out there, I think we went over that even before
the
other conversation. But for all those that say, "Oh, we're sellouts or we're playing other people's music," it's like, if you never played anybody else's song before in a club, if you have, then you paid tribute.
Yeah.
And I guess they're all sellouts, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
not everybody's doing original music, but I've done original music. I still do. I still am a producer. I still write my own stuff. But I got a record deal with Access TV, and we got a second record deal, through Access TV, which is on iTunes, and we're having fun, and we're getting paid for it, and from that standpoint, I don't care whatever anybody wants to say. We're actors, we're musicians, we're singers, we're performers, and what we do is not that easy to do. Anybody can go in and play a cover tune, but not everybody can play it and sound like the people and play it note for note and look the part and act and sound like them. And that's what the whole thing is. It's acting. It's an illusion, just like a movie. That's all.
Yeah, like I said last time.
Just a live version of a movie.
Like I said last time, I like to call this, rock and roll theater, and kind of like you're saying, you're playing a role, you're playing a part, but in your case, you're doing it very good because, I've experienced kind of like people come to your show, I imagine, especially diehard Elton John fans, you take them back to a time in their life when, they were maybe at an actual Elton John concert, or they leave your show feeling like that guy, he really looked like Elton, he really sounded like Elton. I almost thought for a minute I was at an Elton John show, and that's that's what you're actually providing for your audience, and I dare anybody that can say what they want, but I dare you to get up on stage and do what Kenny or any of these other tribute acts do.
It's not that easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, there's a lot of lousy tribute bands out there. There's a lot of bad ones, and they're everywhere. But it's just like anything else, when something hits, everybody thinks they can do that. Not everybody can.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that I think the great thing about the Access TV show, especially this season, if you look at the at the different acts they're having, even just this season. I mean, it's not like a bunch of metal bands. They have an Elton John, a Billy Joel. They have one band. They actually have a Neil Diamond tribute this season. They've had a Def Leppard, a Heart tribute. I think they have another band called Boss Stick or something where they do Boston and stick tunes. So you get a little bit of everything, and that's the cool thing. They're showcasing all the really great bands, and it's not just from one area. It's from all over the all over the United States.
Yeah, they even had Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, who started off this season? Oh, Elvis. The guy that did Elvis, it's like, I saw Elvis when I was a kid, and I went, in his heyday.
Yeah.
And I remember him, but I was just a little kid. But at the same time, when this guy did Elvis, it was like, Elvis, everybody has seen an Elvis impersonator or seen everybody that wants to be. But when this guy walked on stage, he was so convincing. He sounded so much like him. He had the look. He had the moves that it was like captivating. And it captivated every tribute that was there. There was nothing you could say. We were just in awe.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. When you do it, if you can do it to that degree, then that's when you got something that's winning. It's just
Yeah,
but it's work.
And let me ask you, Kenny, I'm getting back to Stryper for a little bit. As a guy that's played with those guys, early on in their career, I was curious, how surprised were you, a couple years back when Michael Sweet took a break from Stryper to go tour with Boston? I was totally amazed. I mean, he sounds so much like Brad Delbert. I was just totally couldn't believe what a perfect fit he was for that.
Oh yeah, no, he was, and even Boston, they liked Michael Sweet's refinement of their sound, Stryper's sound, guitar tones and stuff were Boston derived, just fine tweaked and tuned better, and so brought into metal, and Stryper was always melodical metal, anyways. So, but I mean, Tom Scholz, he was like, when Michael Sweet came in and says, "Oh yeah, here's this, and this is what I do, and this is the sound," and he was just blown away. He said, "I love that," and so Michael Sweet actually improved on Boston's sound, and they used that sound. And the thing is, it's just admiration of your peers. The older I get, the more I realize it's just like life is too short. Don't have head trips about a lot of stuff. Just enjoy what you do. Be the best at what you can do, and enjoy the people that you're going to meet. And if you make people happy along the way with what you do, then you're really a success. Not always about the money, but I mean, we're still playing to giant stages, and I'm grateful for that every day.
I mean,
imagined it 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, sit here and talk to you and think that, a guy that dresses like Elton John and, is able to sing the tunes, could actually, reach the level of success that you have. But again, like you're saying, this is what you do, and you're so good at it that that's why they say the cream rises to the top, and you're one of the guys that has lasted. I mean, you look at another band like the Atomic Punks, they're a Van Halen tribute, one of the first tribute bands out here in LA, but they're still doing it to this day because they're that good, And I was going to ask you, you mentioned, we were talking, of course, all about the Access TV show, and you mentioned you got a record deal out of that. Now, will you and Michael be doing the recording any Elton and Billy Joel songs together?
Oh yeah, we already actually did that. It's released on Volume 7.
Okay.
So, if anybody goes on iTunes, they look up Billy Joel to Elton John. I'm pretty sure it might just say Billy to Elton, actually.
And are these just like digital downloads, or can people get actual physical CDs?
There's physical CDs. They sell them at the TV show. They've got them there. They've got Volume 7 and stuff like that, all the way back, all in hard copy. But I mean, they're all on iTunes. And what we did was we took the 3 songs that I had actually previously recorded, which was Rocket Man, Penny and the Jets, and Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. And rather than my band go back in and, track some more, which we didn't want to do because we just didn't have time. We were busy all summer. So Michael John, he came in and he sang the whole song of my track, my tracks. And then what they did was they just split them up, bring me out, put him in, bring him out, put me back in of my own song that we recorded. And then they re-released those as Billy Joel to Elton John. And then his band came in and they actually recorded the whole album. I think they recorded 10 songs.
Wow.
And then, but I sang on 3 of theirs, and they've released one of the ones that I did up with him, I think, right now. And 1 or 2. No, I think they released 2 of his with me on them, and Benny the Jets with him and me. And then in Volume 8, they'll probably release 2 more with me on them of his, and 1 more of him on mine. So they're just spreading them out. So a re-release is still, we're getting sales on that right now.
Oh, cool. And so let me ask you, like, as far as when the sales come in on that, do you guys like split what comes in? Does Access TV get a certain percentage? How does that all work?
Yeah, I think Access gets a percentage. The producers get a percentage. Back we did a video of I Love Rock and Roll.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if that's ever going to hit YouTube or not. With Katie Darrell singing the lead on it, and all of us in the background in our costumes.
Yeah, yeah.
You had Heather from No Duh, and so then we're all in the background singing this, and Nick Adams, and then they re-released it again with Heather singing it as Gwen Stefani, with all of us in the background.
Oh, cool.
And then they released it with Bonfire, tribute to AC/DC, the lead singer, singing that with all of us. So there's like multiple little things out there. Eventually, we're going to get some royalties.
That's cool. So let me ask you, like, when you guys go in the studio and record these, like, is everybody in the same room together? Everybody going separately and record their parts? How does it work?
Well, it just depends. I mean, when it comes to vocals, I mean, when I went in, my whole band went with me. And,
Oh, that's cool.
you know, we laid down 3 songs in one night.
Wow.
And just literally, you know, knocked them out. And then I went back and finished vocals, you know, a different day. Just a few touch-up backing vocal tracks. But I mean, you know, we went in and we knocked them out. Most of the bands try to get in there and knock them out within 1 or 2 days, as many songs as they can.
And then I was curious, like, typically from, you know, the time you guys go and record the songs, how long does it usually take them to release that stuff?
Maybe 3 weeks to 6 weeks.
Okay.
It just depends on their workload and what they have going.
Yeah.
Because the producer is Michael Vale Blum, and he's produced Madonna,
Oh, wow.
Roger Daltrey, Prince. In fact, he just got like whatever 10 million or is, you know, 10 album thing of platinum
Wow.
from Madonna.
Wow.
He just got that about a month ago from her. You know, that was certified, you know, 10 million sales or something for, you know, an album that he did for Madonna. And he's the producer of all this. And so, you know, you know, for all these guys out there that, you know, yeah, we're sellouts, but I'm working with guys that, you know, getting platinum albums from Madonna.
It's kind of,
He likes the way I go in and work. And he did a great job, you know, reproducing the Elton stuff that we did.
Yeah, it's kind of like I heard Jason Newsted when he was in Metallica make this comparison that you know, people said they cut their hair short. You know, we're sellouts. He said, yeah, we sell out every seat in the house every night. He goes, you know, that's not too shabby. So you know.
Well, you know, and I don't have a problem. People can can have their egos and attitudes and stuff like that. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't, because I just want to do what I do, and I'm having fun doing it. I'm making people happy, and you know, what more do you want in life? And I'm playing stages that have 8,000 people on them. You know, out in front watching me. They came to see me. So it's like, I'm honored.
How could you complain? Like you said, you're doing what you enjoy and getting paid for it. And you know, the interesting thing about, you know, guys like you that are doing the tribute thing, it also allows you, like you said, you do your own original music, but you know, maybe the tribute thing's your main way to making a living, but it also allows you to make that money so you can do your original music, you know?
Yeah, you know, very few. And here's the other thing. For all those guys out there that write original music, you know, I applaud you. I was A&R for indie music. I had 8,000 artists that I represented in the year 2002 that were from all over the world. So I champion independent music. But it's still, you know, just because you can pick up a guitar or you play drums or you can sing doesn't mean that you're writing great music. It doesn't mean that the masses are going to like it, you know? So, you know, you go and you do what you do, but it's still the very few that get to play Coachella or the big festivals all over the country that they get invited into. So, you know, even with that, you know, it's limited on who gets to do what. So I'm thrilled that my band's not playing, you know, 3 sets at the Viper Room. You know, and walking out of there with $50 in my pocket. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But
I'm just saying, you know, I paid my dues. I went through those. I did that for years. Play 3 or 4 sets, man, and you load in early and you play until midnight or 1 o'clock, and you leave and, you know, you jammed. You had a great time. Your crowd of 50 people loved it. While the other, you know, 30 that were just drunk and doing whatever they did, you know, but you still had fun. Well, I'm not playing to that same kind of crowd anymore, and I'm, you know, I don't really ever want to go back to that if I don't have to, at least not now.
Yeah, I mean, and I was going to ask you, getting back to Access TV for a little bit, did you have a chance to check out the Van Halen tribute that was on there last week? Called Van Halen. I mean, they look really like old style Van Halen. I was really took me back to the day. You know what I mean?
Well, when we were on Access TV season 1 as Kenny Metcalf as Elton, my drummer, at that time, he is the drummer for Van Halen, which was on last week.
Wow.
When Michael left our band about a month after we did our TV show, he was in Van Halen before he played with us, and he just wanted a break from them, and so he stuck it out with us for about a year and a half. Had a great time, and he just said, "Hey," he goes, "I'd like to go back." They've asked me, if I'd come back to them, and he goes, "My heart's really into more heavy edge," and I was like, "Yeah, go right ahead," And so we were there. We supported him. I was thrilled, man. He got to be on TV a second time, and they killed it last week. It was awesome.
Yeah, they really did. Now, let me ask you, do you plan to be going check out the other bands that are on the show the rest of the season, or does it just depend on your schedule?
Well, you know what? Most of the bands aren't working on a Tuesday night, so I'm usually in town, and I'm at every show.
That's cool.
Through this season.
Yeah.
I've got them all in my calendar.
That's cool. And typically when you do a show, Kenny, do you prefer to do solo performances where it's just your band, or do you like to ever do shows with other tribute acts as well?
Well, we have most of the time it's just us.
Yeah.
Opening up. We're headlining, and that's it. We're doing a show November 1st at the Grove. Let's see, it's in Garden Grove.
Oh, cool.
The Strawberry Bowl Festival Amphitheater.
Wow.
And we're playing there, and a band called The Distraction is opening up for us, and they're an Elvis Costello tribute.
Oh, wow.
So they're going to play an hour, and then they'll be off the stage within 30 minutes. So they start at 7 o'clock on November 1st, and then we go on at 8:30, and we'll play a 90-minute show. And if they don't kick us off stage, we'll play 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I have to see if I can make it down. That sounds like a cool bill.
It's going to be fun. Outdoor amphitheater.
Yeah, wow. And, okay, well, Kenny, I really enjoyed talking to you, and I can't thank you enough for taking time to do this. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, I just want to let you know, if you check out my Facebook page, there's a link where you can go to check out all our interviews we've got posted so far. The last interview I did with you is posted there, and it's actually it's actually like our third most popular interview so far. We're kind of building our site up again, but so I just want to say your interview is like the third most popular one, most downloaded. So congratulations on that. And you were mentioning earlier that there's a Creedence Clearwater tribute that appeared on Access earlier. I just posted an interview with Brad Ford. He's a singer from that. So if anybody would like to check out any of these interviews, I suggest they go to the Facebook page, and there's a link there where they can check out the other interviews. And there's actually also an interview I just posted up there with Larry Hampton. So we're constantly doing more of these interviews, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the future. But I really wanted to say, good luck in the future, and congratulations on the Elton to Billy. I hope you guys really do more shows of that, because I was really impressed with the performance on Access TV.
Thank you.
And before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say, Kenny, or we kind of touched on everything you wanted to talk about?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, Kenny Metcalf, Metcalf. That's my personal page, or Kenny Metcalf as Elton. We have that on Facebook. The Billy Joel #2 EltonJohn.com. That'll give you an idea of that. We don't have a Facebook page for that yet.
Yeah.
Probably we'll put one up. But they don't mind voting for us. Vegas Rocks Magazine Awards for 2014. The voting is until the 15th of November, and all they have to do is write vote at vegasrocks.com. Send that email, and the subject title has to say Billy Joel with the #2 Elton John. That's it. Press send and give us your vote, please.
And will you know before the award show if you're gonna if you won or not, or do you not find out till the award show?
Oh no, we don't find out until the award show, which is November 23rd, and we'll walk the red carpet there. This year they have 2 of the original professional players from Toto being honored, and Michael Anthony of Van Halen.
Wow, that's cool. Wow.
And Vegas Rocks Awards is a big deal. They usually have pretty big names there. Steve Lukather will be there this year, and they got a huge list of people. So it takes an hour and a half to walk the red carpet with all the people that they have coming through. So it's a pretty good event, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. And I'm honored that they nominated us.
Well, good luck with that, and we'll be sure to cast our vote for you guys. And like I said, thanks again, Kenny. And